Hello, welcome. Bienvenidos a Spanish with Profe. In this channel, we will learn Spanish. En este canal, vamos a aprender español. I will be your professor. I am a native speaker of Spanish, and I hold a PhD in Spanish from the University of California. I have been teaching Spanish at the university level for over 20 years. Feel free to leave your comments below with any questions about learning Spanish and any video topics you would like me to cover. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for future videos. It helps with the YouTube algorithm. Muchas gracias. In today's video, we are going to talk about conjunctions. Conjunctions in Spanish. And how some of them will always require the subjunctive, while there will be other conjunctions in which you're gonna either use the subjunctive or the indicative. So, listos chicos, ready? Vamos a comenzar. Let's begin. In this video, we are talking about conjunctions in Spanish. Conjunctions connect clauses in sentences. A conjunction is kind of like, when you're driving on the highway and there's a junction is gonna connect you to another one. So that's what conjunctions do in Spanish. They connect. The following conjunctions will always require the subjunctive whenever you see them. And in this case, whenever we use a conjunction can be at the beginning of a sentence or in the middle of a sentence or towards the end of the sentence. So the subjunctive will follow it. So in this case, that's the only case in which you will see the subjunctive at the beginning of a sentence because it's following a conjunction. Other than that, remember that the subjunctive always happens in the subordinate clause, which is the second sentence. A menos que will require the subjunctive. Antes de que will require the subjunctive. Con tal de que will require the subjunctive all the time. En caso de que will require the subjunctive too. Muy bien. Para que, pay attention to this one. Para que. En antes de que y sin que, because if antes de que, para que y sin que don't have the que in there, then they are prepositions, and with prepositions you always put the infinitive of the verb. So pay attention when we're working on this one. So a menos que, antes de que, con tal de que, en caso de que, para que, sin que, always require the subjunctive. Vamos a comer más a menos que no haya más comida. Vamos a comer más a menos que no haya más comida. Haya is the subjunctive form of haber. There are. Next. Ellos van a comer antes de que sus padres lleguen a casa. Ellos van a comer antes de que sus padres lleguen a casa. The verb llegar is ends in gar, therefore we have to make a spelling change, G-U, and then follow the rules of the subjunctive. We switch the ending. So ellos van a comer antes de que sus padres lleguen a casa. Next. Ella va a ir con ustedes con tal de que le paguen por su tiempo. Ella va a ir con ustedes con tal de que le paguen por su tiempo. Pagar is a G-A-R verb, so we need to spell change it to G-U, and then add the new endings in the subjunctive. So, ella va a ir con ustedes con tal de que le paguen por su tiempo. Muy bien. Next. Tú llevas al perro contigo en caso de que sea peligroso el sitio donde vas a correr. Tú llevas al perro contigo en caso de que sea peligroso el sitio donde vas a correr. Muy bien. Los perros protegen a la gente. That is true. Dogs will protect you. They're guard dogs. Los perros te van a proteger. Siguiente. Los padres se sacrifican para que sus hijos tengan un mejor futuro. Los padres se sacrifican para que sus hijos tengan un mejor futuro. Siguiente. Vamos a salir sin que nos den permiso sus padres. Vamos a salir sin que nos den permiso sus padres. So let's remember that antes de, para es sin, are prepositions. So pay attention, because prepositions will always require the infinitive, meaning that you don't change the verb, you don't conjugate it, it's just the infinitive. So for example, antes de salir, me cepillo los dientes. Antes de salir, me cepillo los dientes. Siguiente. Para tener éxito, hay que estudiar mucho. Para tener éxito, hay que estudiar mucho. Salimos de la tienda sin comprar nada. Salimos de la tienda sin comprar nada. Now, chicos, the following conjunctions could either use the subjunctive or the indicative. This is the rule. You're going to use the subjunctive if the action is a pending action, meaning that the action has not yet happened. It's an action in the future. If that's the case, then you're going to use the subjunctive. But if the action already happened, you're going to use the indicative, and you're going to use the past tense for that one. So this is where everything that we've been learning is coming into play. So if the action already happened, you're going to use the indicative, but in the past. If the action is repetitive, you're going to use the indicative, most likely in the present tense, because it might be an action that repeats itself in the present. Or maybe it could be an action that repeated itself in the past. That will be the imperfect verb. So, cuando, después de que, en cuanto, hasta que, tan pronto como. So, cuando, después de que, en cuanto, hasta que, tan pronto como. You're going to use, with those conjunctions, you're going to use the subjunctive if the action is pending, if it's a future action. You're going to use the indicative, whether in the present or the past, if the action already happened, or if the action repeats itself. It's a repetitive action, so keep that in mind. Cuando me blank, the verb is pagar, voy a ir a Hawaii. So cuando me blank pagar, voy a ir a Hawaii. Is this talking about the present or the future? Let's look at it. Voy a. In another lesson, we learned that in Spanish, we can form the future by talking about ir plus a plus a verb in the infinitive. Do we have that in this case? Yes, we do. So, voy a ir a Hawaii. So, it's talking about a future action. Therefore, we're going to use the subjunctive. In pagar, it's a G-A-R. So, we're going to make spelling change, G-U. And we're going to put paguen, when they pay me. Cuando me paguen, because you're working for a company, cuando me paguen, when they pay me, cuando me paguen, voy a ir a Hawaii. Cuando me, they, the verb is going to be in the they form, okay? Just like the previous one. Cuando me blank pagar, siempre ahorro mi cheque. Cuando me blank pagar, siempre ahorro mi cheque. Let's look at this one. So we have cuando just like in the previous one, but we have, let's look for keywords in here. Siempre. Siempre means always. So that is telling us that the action repeats itself. So with these conjunctions of time, if the action repeats itself, we're going to use the indicative. So is it going to be present or past? So let's see. Cuando me blank, siempre ahorro mi cheque. Ahorro is in the present tense. Therefore, we're going to use the indicative in the present tense. So the answer is cuando me pagan. Pagan. Siempre ahorro mi cheque. Because it's talking about a repetitive action. We use the indicative and it's ahorro that's telling us that it's in the present tense. Let's do another one. Cuando me blank pagar, siempre le daba dinero a mi prima. Cuando me blank pagar, siempre le daba dinero a mi prima. So we're using again the same conjunction cuando, but let's look in here. Always look for keywords in the given sentence, okay? So siempre, siempre. Oh, that's the same one we just saw earlier. Siempre means always. So we know we're gonna use the indicative, yes, the indicative, because the indicative is used with this conjunction if the action repeats itself, meaning that it's done over and over and over, or if the action is in the past. So keep that in mind. So siempre. So we have determined that it's going to be indicative, but is it going to be present or past? So let's see. Daba. Daba. Daba is the verb, comes from the verb dar, and daba is the imperfecto, yes. So that is the past tense. So what is our answer? Pagaban. Excelente. Muy bien, pagaban. So cuando me pagaban, siempre le daba dinero a mi prima. Cuando me pagaban, siempre le daba dinero a mi prima. Muy bien. So that is, siempre is a keyword that is telling us the action repeats itself. And daba is in the imperfect, so we need to put the past tense. In this case, the imperfecto, pagaban. Muy bien. How about the next one? Después de que ellos blank llegar, vamos a comer. Después de que ellos blank llegar, vamos a comer. So después de is one of those conjunctions that either requires the subjunctive or the indicative. And the indicative in the present or in the past. So let's see. So vamos a comer. Vamos a, remember, is ir plus a verb, and we have learned that in Spanish you can form the future by using ir plus the infinitive. So we're going to use that subjunctive, yes. So was llegar is a gar, so we need to make spelling change, G-U, and it's ellos. So después de que ellos lleguen, vamos a comer. Después de que ellos lleguen, vamos a comer. Excelente. Because vamos is an action in the future, so requires that subjunctive. Next, después de que yo blank llegar, ella puso la mesa. Después de que yo blank llegar, ella puso la mesa. So let's see. Después de is one of those conjunctions that either requires the indicative or the subjunctive. So let's see. Puso. Puso. What form of the verb is puso? Yes, that comes from the verb poner. Is it present or past? Yes, it's el pretérito. That means that it's past. Therefore, we're going to use the indicative but in the past tense. So let's see this. Después de que yo llegué, yes. L, L, E, G, U, E con tilde. Después de que yo llegué, L, L, E, G, U, E con tilde. Llegué. Llegué is the past tense of the verb llegar in the yo form. And let's remember that in el pretérito cargar and thar, make a spelling change in the yo form only in el pretérito. Keep that in mind. So that's llegué, llegué, L, L, E, G, U, E with a tilde, and that is the past tense. Pay attention, is llegué versus llegué. Llegué will be the subjunctive. So, en español, tildes are important because tildes will let us know that in this case we're using the pretérito form of yo and not the subjunctive. Llegué. The sound is different. Llegué. Past tense. Llegué. Subjunctive. Muy bien. Next. Tan pronto como me blank llamar, le voy a colgar. To hang up. Tan pronto como me blank llamar, le voy a colgar. Let's think about tan pronto. It's one of those conjunctions that either going to use the subjunctive or the indicative, whether in the present or in the past. The indicative, present or past. So let's look up. Tan pronto como me blank llamar, le voy a colgar. Le voy a colgar. Good, hang up. Let's look. Voy a. What form of the verb is that? It is the present tense, and it's ir plus another verb that is denoting a future action. So therefore, we're going to use the, yes, subjuntivo. What is llamar? Llamar is an AR ending, so just a regular verb. So change the ending. Yes, llame is the answer. Llame with an E. Muy bien. So, tan pronto como me llame, le voy a colgar. No quiero hablar con esa persona. Tan pronto como me llame, le voy a colgar. I'm going to hang up the phone. I'm not going to answer. Hit dismiss on the phone. Dismiss. The red button. Muy bien. El botón rojo. Hay que tocar. Ayer, tan pronto como el blank llegar, nosotras lo despedimos. Adiós, hasta luego. Vete, vete, vete. Ayer, tan pronto el llegar, nosotras lo despedimos. Hasta luego, adiós. So, ayer, that means yesterday. So, that's a good keyword. We know that the action already happened. So, therefore, we're going to use the indicativo. By what form? Pasado. Excelente. Muy bien. So, llegar. Sí, llegó. Llegó with a tilde over the O, because that is the past tense. Not llegó. That would be the present tense. Ayer, tan pronto como él llegó, nosotras lo despedimos. Ayer, tan pronto como él llegó, nosotras lo despedimos. Hasta luego, adiós, vete, vete, vete. Vamos a estar aquí hasta que el médico nos atender. Vamos a estar aquí hasta que el médico nos atender. Atender means to wait on. So, let's see. Hasta que. Hasta que is one of those conjunctions that will require either the subjunctive if it's a future action or the indicative within the present or the past if the action is repetitive or already happened. So, let's see. Vamos a estar. Keyword, vamos a. Ir a plus the infinitive is talking about a future action. So therefore we're going to say atienda o atiende. The verb is atender. Is it atienda o atiende? Yes, atienda with an A. Because it's that subjunctive. Vamos a estar aquí hasta que el médico nos atienda. Bueno, chicos, espero que les haya gustado esta lección. Bueno, chicos, recuerden to smash the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for future videos. It helps with the YouTube algorithm. Muchas gracias y hasta pronto. Smash the like button.